a statement, opening statement from Marshall Long. Marshall's going to stand up.
Thank you, John. Thank you, AAUW, and thank all of you for coming this evening and taking your time out to come and listen to us. I'm Marshall Long. I was born and raised in Mariposa County. I'm a product in Mariposa County schools. I've lived a lifetime in Mariposa County. My experiences have led me to be the best qualified candidate up here. I am a member of the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, Lodge number 39, where I've been a past grad. I am a past District Deputy Grand Master, a past of District 56 and District 8, and I am also a past Grand Instructor for the Grand Lodge of California. I am steeped in parliamentary procedure. I have the ability to run a meeting efficiently. I have an open door policy to where any question, anytime, anywhere, your complaints, your concerns, everything that needs to be discussed as a county supervisor, I'm ready to do. My life has been a progression of leadership building skills, and I'm ready to serve as your supervisor in District 3. Again, thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you, Marshall. And now we have Kris Casto.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight, and thank AAUW once again for their public service in bringing this forum to you. Well, I want to tell you tonight I am so excited and looking forward to prosperity. I think we have a bright future ahead, and I'm going to do all I can to get us there and help the community get there. One of the reasons that I think of this is because we have the ability to take advantage of UC Merced down this road and take advantage of Yosemite National Park. We're already doing a very good job at Yosemite National Park with our tourism, but UC Merced is something that's a valuable asset sitting there. The university is charged with marketing their research. They do a lot of research on the environment, green buildings. They do a lot of research on solar cells, and they have patents for over 100 solar cell patents down there that they want to get to market. And here we are. Let's be at the table. Let's get our economic development strategy. Let's use it. Let's look through it. Let's refresh it. Let's make it our go-to document when we have budget hearings. We need to pay attention to where we can go in the future with that document. And it will also keep in mind our heritage, our value system, and where the community wants to look like and feel like and still be that place we all want to call home. I've been on the City Council in Los Altos for 2 terms, was elected twice as mayor, 10 years on the Planning Commission. I own a small business. My husband and I had a business 30 years in the Bay Area, made payroll week after week after week for 30 years, 52 times, and never were late. So I understand small business. I understand the responsibility of being an employer. And here we have a small business as well. So I've got qualifications that I believe will do me good stead to represent you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to have the question period, and you have 1 minute to answer each question. Question: how will you balance the responsibilities and obligations of the supervisor's position with your own private business and professional activities? Okay, thank you.
My wife and I own Robbins Bail Bonds. We're the only bail bond company in Mariposa. She runs that business on her own, and she's done it very well for a number of years. As a rancher, I do have employees that assist on the ranch so that my responsibilities there will be covered. And as a caregiver for my parents, I have found a CNA, Certified Nurse's Assistant, to assist in care for them. So I will be able to give my full, undivided attention to be a supervisor for District 3, representing you as your supervisor.
Thank you. My family, we own a small business, the winery, and a retail store. I won't give up pruning. I love pruning. It's one of my favorite jobs. There's things about agriculture that I love that brought me to this county. The getting your hands in the soil and and making sure that the animals stay away from your precious products, getting out and watering when we have the vineyard. But other than that, I'm not going to give that up. That's part of my life. But the other part is that I've got a family business. My husband and I have been working together for 40 years. We have a good relationship. My grandson is the winemaker taking over, and another family, and I have a brother who is there working as well. So we meet for coffee every morning, 8 o'clock, then we all go our way and do our great things for the vineyard. But will work hard. I know how hard it is. Late night meetings, early morning meetings, going to Sacramento and sometimes to lobby, going out of town to, as I said, to lobby in Sacramento for items.
Okay, thank you. The next question, and Marshall, you start first. Large-scale gold mining was conducted in the county in the middle 1800s and attempted again in 1980. Local and state laws are more protective of the environment now. Do you believe Mariposa County can accommodate mining?
Absolutely, I believe that we can accommodate mining because we have two mines on our ranch. We produce slate, road base, and decomposed granite on the ranch out of those two pits. Gold mining built Mariposa County. Unfortunately, we're on the southern end of the Mother Lode, and it was one of the poorest gold counties out of all the others in the Mother Lode. As to large-scale mining, I think it can be brought into the county as long as it's done properly. I am opposed to open pit large-scale mining. I am concerned about water quality after blasting, but at the same time, a lot of these issues can be mitigated, and I believe that every mine in the county has to follow the same rules, laws, and regulations that every other mine. And I would, as a supervisor, suggest that we hire an outside inspector to inspect our mines at least once every year.
Thank you. Gold mining has been in our heritage since the 1850s, and we do have gold in their hills here. I would suggest that it's going to be a public process, that neighbors can be involved in, to become familiar with, to help the supervisors make an informed decision. And during that informed decision, we do need to rely on experts. We will have to have some experts come to evaluate the proposal. It's a chance to bring some jobs into the community that we need to take advantage of, but all the impacts must be mitigated. CEQA is a large document by the state of California that the county has to follow. And if there's mitigation that can be done through the CEQA process, then they will have the opportunity. But we must keep in mind that this may be a 20 or 30 or 50-year project, gold mining. It's a large industrial overtaking, so we must be very cautious to make sure that at the end we do have the funds to reclaim the mine.
Thank you. How do you feel about the final Merced River plan and the removal of many historical recreational activities in Yosemite? Will the plan help or hinder Mariposa's economy?
I believe the plan has been adopted and sent along to the federal government for the final touches, and hopefully that there will be no lawsuit this time, that the National Park has done a great job bringing people together to the table to make sure that everyone's opinions were included and that the public process was adequate for this plan. Most of the things, the biking is allowed, the swimming pools are back in, the canoe, the raft tripping is in. The only thing I believe that is out is that you can bring your horse, but they can't do in the valley any more guided horse trips. So I think from the beginning of the process, when all those things were not in the plan, there was a public outreach, a public outcry, and I think we did our due diligence and made a big impression, and that's what we have to do, to stick to the guns and make ourselves heard. The only one significant thing that could be a challenge is if in the future, I will talk to you about that later.
I don't think all the voices were heard Yosemite was built by horseback. If it weren't for horses, we wouldn't be enjoying it the way we are today. Any recreational opportunity in Yosemite that's removed is detrimental to the whole park as a whole and to Mariposa County. And I disagree with the process, I disagree with the decision that was made, and I think a lot of people who know better than us have decided what we are going to get in the valley. Thank you.
The county general fund budget is short $800,000. Where would you make cuts to balance the budget?
The TOT is a possibility. I think we need to have a discussion about it. We need to have all the people at the table that would give us some information, especially the hoteliers that would be affected by that. But an increase in the TOT of 1% is $1 million. And so that would be valuable for us for our discretionary funds. It's really not about, I think, cutting services, but increasing revenue. Because I think we've heard from Becky Kraft and the assessor that everyone's lean right now. So let's make sure we can increase the revenue. Some things we could talk about maybe is contracting some services out in public service. It could, public works. It could save us some money. Maybe the fleet maintenance. Maybe there's some other things in public works that they could contract out. You could also maybe look at the pension fund again. I'll bring that up. Look at the increasing the dollars that employees pay into the fund for their pension, as the sheriff's department does.
We need to look outside the box and start figuring out ways to save money within the county budget. One of the things that happens in Mariposa County is that we seem to forget about maintaining what we already have. Look at the courthouse. Look at our roads. If we don't maintain them in the end, it costs us more money in the end to repair them or replace them. So we need to be on top of our maintenance all the time. To make the decisions, we have to have comprehensive data to do that so that we can go through the budget line by line. I'm halfway through the budget. It's 500 pages and $100 million being spent in Mariposa County. That's over $5,000 for every man, woman, and child. If we can't find some savings within that budget, there's something wrong with us. And the opposite side of that is we have to grow our tax base through economic development so that we increase our revenue streams for the county budget, for the school budget, for the road budget. And that's how you do it, economic growth.
Should District 3 residents pay for utilities used in other communities? And the example given is sewer and water in Yosemite West, Lake Don Pedro, and Coulterville. That's the question, Rick.
These utility districts were put in place in the 60s. They have had problems. They have not done the maintenance as through the decades. No, I don't believe that we as taxpayers should bail out. For example, Yosemite West, who have not done the maintenance, not put the money in to have a system that's up and running. But their choices are very limited. The discussion today was about that at the Board of Supervisors meeting, and so the solutions are very few. In fact, they'll have to come up with the money, and it's a lot of money. Probably never should be done in the first place, but that's water over the bridge, and so they're there now. So they need to come up with their funds themselves. And the other, Lake Don Pedro, that's the same of them. It's their use. And we're not going to start bailing out people because of lack of maintenance over the years.
It was a very interesting discussion at the Board of Supervisors meeting this afternoon. They don't have a clue how much it's going to cost to repair the system at Yosemite West. The district down in Don Pedro does not want to take back their system that they're supposed to. They want the county to keep running it, and it's got to stop. And how you stop it is you make these folks go into make their own districts and pay for it themselves, and they have to lien their own properties or assess them. The other thing is we need to get back into the general plan and the Catheys Valley plan. We need to go back to a 5-acre minimum and no more water or sewer systems in the county. Because every time you turn around, the county gets on the hook for it, and you, the taxpayers, end up paying it for it, whether it's through a grant, a loan, or out of the general fund, and it's got to stop.
How can we keep Mariposa's traditions while facing the need for meaningful job growth here?
Being born and raised in Mariposa, I've seen a lot of changes here, some good, some bad. How do you keep your rural atmosphere, your rural lifestyle here? Well, you start small. You keep, at the same time, we realize that we have to grow our economy in some ways, and you do it small and appropriate to Mariposa itself. Small home-based businesses, rural-based businesses, micro-industries, businesses like Catheys Corporation and CKC Labs. Those are businesses that fit the rural lifestyle of Mariposa. They don't leave a big footprint. At the same time, they have good paying jobs, and they add to the economy of Mariposa and give people good jobs, which is what lifts them out of poverty. And as I have traveled the county, I've seen a lot of poverty out there, and we need to address it.
You know, I believe that conservation and commercialization can coexist together if done properly, correctly, in a design review that the Planning Commission, the community, the Board of Supervisors agree on. You take the complex next to the landfill, you hardly ever see it. Across the street is a storage facility. Its landscaping was a part of that process that they were made to landscape. We need to look at the general plan and land use to see if there's a place for a commercial park. And they use the word park, meaning that it should be parked out. It should be set within the landscape, that it's not a concrete jungle. We've got good examples of that around. We can use that, but the land use has to be looked at in the general plan. We can have recreation opportunities. We've got the zip line. We can do things with recreation. We can build trails. Trails are a great recreation that we could bring economic stability plus agriculture.
If you are elected supervisor, what would you do about the unfunded liability?
Well, the unfunded liability is not a typical debt. The easiest way to explain it is this. When I get a car insurance bill in the mail for the first time, I have the option of paying that off, the whole year off, or I can make monthly payments. And I'm charged extra for making those monthly payments. That is what our unfunded liability in regard to our retirement system is. We don't owe $17 million right now, but we're going to owe $17 million over 20 years. Okay. 42% of that comes from Health and Human Services employees. That money is paid by the state and federal government. So if we paid it off early, we would be shooting ourselves in the foot, because 42% of it is paid for by the federal and state government. Can we pay it off faster? Yes. Are the investments in PERS that help fund the PERS retirement system?
Each year we know what we have for the current year or the previous year. And I think that we are doing this now as we are paying additional monies in toward that unfunded liability so that it's not built up. So each year we're taking a bit of the bite, a chunk, so that it's not going to be at the end of 15 years all due and payable. So each year we're decreasing that debt. I think that when the Sheriff's Department had their contract approved, this year they decided that, or they agreed to pay part of their pension for the future employees, or for in the future. And I think that's something the other unions could look at, and we could talk at that time, where they would be paying a part of their pension as they're not doing now. So that we could look at that as a part of the solution.
What is your position on the proposed hotel conference center? Will it hurt or help Mariposa's rural character?
And there will be a lot more discussion on it. I think this is the first stage, number one stage. You get interest. Was there any interest? And it was shown today there is some interest. That land is zoned for resort commercial. It's perfect land use zoning for that. It's been that way in the general plan, I don't know, maybe 20 years or so. So it's nothing that we're, residents should be like, say, oh, well, how come they could do that? Well, because we've always had those land use there for situations such as this. But it's going to be it will be a private enterprise, such as the Tenaya Lodge is a private enterprise. I think if it's done right with design review by the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, it must be made to sit into the landscape, to look with our heritage and our rural character. It needs to reflect that, and that can be done. We've got very talented landscape and very talented architects that can do those such things. But this is just the first step. There are many decisions yet to be made.
The development has to be appropriate to Mariposa. One of my pet peeves is pseudo gold rush architecture, which seems to pervade the whole town. If you go to towns like Grass Valley, Nevada City and such, they embrace their gold rush heritage, they embrace their gold rush architecture, and you don't see that pseudo gold rush architecture there. Is it appropriate for Mariposa? We'll have to see. We have to see we have to see the proposal before we can make any decision on it. I do know that the infrastructure, it is possible to get the infrastructure to the site. A grant has been applied for by MPUD to extend the lines up to that property, east of town, excuse me. But we have to see a proposal before we can make any decision on it. If it is appropriate for Mariposa, I will support it. Thank you.
There is a Friends of Catheys Valley Library group that has formed a viable plan for funding a library building. Would you support the county by paying $10,000 annually for this library service?
This group was brought to my attention 6 months ago, and I've been attending their meetings. And it's similar to the Red Cloud Library in Greeley Hill, and it's similar to the El Portal Library in El Portal, which the school children use in the daytime, and the citizens can use it in the evening. The hours are, they're not even sure what those hours would be, maybe 10 hours a week, maybe 12 hours a week. But I think it would be a great service to Catheys Valley to be able to use that, to have maybe adult literature classes there in the evening. There's opportunities for, classes for small businesses, for some of the home-based businesses that we have down here, that they could go to classes, learn about the internet, so on and so forth. So I think it'd be a great addition. I don't know if the $10,000 number came up, but it would take a staff person, and that would probably be the staff of one person for 10 hours a week. I'm not sure what that would amount to, but I believe there is already some money could be already in the budget for those outreach programs.
I absolutely support a library at the school. As for the $10,000, if we can get grant funding or such, yes, I would support that. Anytime that the county can associate itself with other quasi-governmental agencies to help support education in Mariposa, I support it, particularly at the finest school in the county over here at Sierra Foothill Elementary. They've done an excellent job there, and a library would be a great addition to that school.
The last question. We had several questions about the yellow-legged frog. How many of you ever seen one? Well-intentioned laws such as the Endangered Species Act are damaging individuals, families, and communities. As a Mariposa County Supervisor, what is your position on the Fish and Wildlife current ability to designate as critical habitat our private property, thus restricting the use of the land and the water resources for the Mariposa rancher?
Thank goodness we have people in this audience who go to the Board of Supervisors meetings that bring to the attention of the Board of Supervisors things like this. I think it's overreaching. I think the land that they want designated is far too vast. There is Wendy has told us many times. There's about 1,800 acres in the Sierra foothills. It's a swampland that's great for these frogs to their habitat. That's where they want to live. That's where they procreate. That's where it's their territory. Let's carve that out. Let's make sure those 1,800 acres are there for their survival and leave the 200,000 other acres that they want to include out of it. And the Board of Supervisors can support and write letters and work with the rural counties, RC on these questions, because it's going to affect more than just our county. It's going to affect all of the foothill.
I believe the Endangered Species Act went a little bit too far because they forgot the human equation. This is a taking without compensation, and it is violating our rights, private property rights. Sorry, I just lost my thought. Do we need to be stewards of the land? Yes, absolutely. As a private citizen, I want to be a steward of my land, and I want everybody else to be a steward of their land. But I do not believe in collective stewardship. I think that we can educate ourselves and be good stewards of the earth that we are on, but the taking without compensation is absolutely wrong.
Okay, that concludes the questions, and now we're going to begin with the closing statement. And the closing statement is allowed 2 minutes. So we're going to start with you, Kris, first. Come right down.
Sir, first of all, I want to welcome the Volunteer Fire Department. This is some of Mariposa's finest who have just joined us, and I'm glad you're here tonight. Can we clap for these guys? You guys keep our homes and hearths safe, and we rely on you, and you're our neighbors, and you've just really done our community a great service. We want to do what we can to make sure that we retain your good services. Well, thank you for inviting me tonight. I think I've proven leadership being elected to the Los Alamos City Council. When I stepped down from that position, the city was in good stead. Communications were top-notch. They were very effective. When I took over as that year, it was kind of in disarray. So I know how to bring groups together. I've lived through it, and I've learned from other city council members, and we had a very good, successful couple of years there. What I want to say tonight to you is that I love Mariposa just as much as you do. It's a gem. It's a diamond in the rough. It's got some great people. I love volunteering here. The people I work with have given me joy. We've done a lot of accomplishments, whether it's through the Rotary, through the Foothill Mediation Center, whether it's through the Mariposa Agri-Nature Trail Association, where we were trying to preserve agriculture through a non-governmental agency where people were coming together just to give their time and energy to talk about best practices. We have a wonderful community, and I'm looking forward to serving you. I've been delighted going door to door and meeting a lot of you. We should all clap for ourselves because we've done a lot of good work here.
Leadership is something that you acquire over a lifetime. There are many issues facing Mariposa County that need to be addressed, and it's going to take leadership to address them. Too many times we, as a county, have buried our head in the sand and let events dictate to us how things are going to be. Well, it's time to stop planning, it's time to stop studying, and it's time to start moving forward. Mariposa County is a poor county, and the only way it's not going to be poor is if we, as the citizens and the government of this county, decide to turn around the economy and start growing our own. We have to do it from inside. Nobody outside is going to help us because they're trying to take away the same jobs that we're trying to create here. So as a supervisor, I will lead that effort. I am a business person. With my wife, we have a bail bonds. I manage our ranch. I was the president of the A. Fisher Company Stage Line and Livery Stable Incorporated in Columbia State Historic Park. I was a member of the Columbia Area Advisory Council and chairman for 3 years of that organization. I have the skills, the knowledge, and the ability to lead as a supervisor, and I'm ready to go. I thank you all for coming tonight, and for you folks back there on the sharp end of the stick, I support you 100%, 100%. Again, I thank you all for coming tonight. I again thank AAUW for this event, and to all of the candidates for District 3 and the assessor and District 1, and for all of the offices, I congratulate you and I thank you for standing up to be a public servant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and that is going to conclude, but let me make a couple of comments. As I get older, I'm getting more and more blanks.